Have you ever dreamed of gardens rising into the sky, lush with every shade of green, in the heart of a desert? The hanging gardens of Babylon, perched on the banks of the Euphrates in Mesopotamia, stood like a gift from the gods. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But were they real, or merely a myth whispered through the ages? Welcome to Ancient Antics X, where we dive into history's greatest mysteries. Tonight, we'll wander through the lost gardens of Babylon, from Nebuchadnezzar's love for his queen to Semiramis's legendary terraces, from ingenious irrigation systems to the enigma of their vanishing. Find a cozy spot, close your eyes, and let this ancient dream envelop you. Ready for a bedtime journey? Don't miss this adventure to unravel Babylon's green secrets. Picture the Euphrates waters gently rippling under a golden sun. Babylon's towering ziggurats piercing the horizon, palm fronds swaying in the warm breeze. In the 6th century BC, Babylon was the beating heart of Mesopotamia, a city of unimaginable wealth and splendor. The Hanging Gardens, so the legends tell, were built by King Nebuchadnezzar II for his wife Amytis, a Median princess who longed for the verdant hills of her homeland. Terraced trees, vibrant flowers, cascading waterfalls, an oasis in the desert reaching for the heavens. But did these gardens truly exist? Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BC, described them as stone terraces laden with greenery, fed by intricate water channels. Diodorus Siculus, centuries later, echoed these tales, painting a picture of a paradise suspended above the sands. Yet archaeologists even today scour the ruins for a single trace. Imagine the Euphrates waters tumbling over terraces, green triumphing over the barren desert, the soft trickle of water echoing on ancient stone steps, as if Babylon's soul still lingers. This journey will take us through Babylon's grandeur, the garden's mythic allure, and the modern quest to uncover their truth, bringing this desert dream to life. The Hanging Gardens are more than a marvel of engineering. They're a testament to human imagination. Nebuchadnezzar II, ruling from 605 to 562 BC, transformed Babylon into an empire that dazzled the ancient world. But the gardens, if they existed, were his personal gift, a love letter in stone and water to Amytis, who found Babylon's arid plains a stark contrast to her lush homeland. Ancient texts describe terraces towering high, each level bursting with exotic plants and fed by water lifted from the Euphrates. Yet curiously, Babylonian clay tablets, rich with records of temples, palaces, and trade, make no clear mention of these gardens. Were they an exaggerated tale of a king's devotion spun into legend by poets and historians? Picture the Euphrates reflecting ziggurats, the air thick with the scent of blossoms, and the hum of a city alive with possibility. This is the stage for our story, where myth and history intertwine, and Babylon's green dream begins. In the 6th century BC, under the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, Babylon stood as the crown jewel of Mesopotamia. Nestled on the banks of the Euphrates, its skyline dominated by the towering ziggurat at the Menonche, the city was a hub of trade, art, and science. The Hanging Gardens, according to legend, were its most dazzling emblem, built for Queen Amytis to mirror the green valleys of her Median homeland. Herodotus, in the 5th century BC, described them as stone terraces laden with trees, fed by water in a feat of engineering that defied the desert. A lesser-known fact, Babylonian clay tablets, etched with cuneiform, detail temples and palaces, but offer no definitive mention of the gardens. Were they a king's love exaggerated into myth? Picture Babylon's grandeur reflected in the Euphrates waters, its ziggurats defying the sky, a city that seemed to challenge the gods themselves. Nebuchadnezzar II was no ordinary ruler. From 605 to 562 BC, he forged Babylon into an empire that stretched across Mesopotamia. Its influence felt from Egypt to Persia. The Ishtar Gate, adorned with shimmering blue tiles and fierce lion reliefs, was a testament to his ambition, one of the ancient world's grandest entrances. Babylon sat at the crossroads of trade routes, its markets alive with caravans carrying spices, silks, and stories from east to west, north to south. The Hanging Gardens, if real, were a crowning jewel of this wealth. Herodotus, writing a century later, described vast stone terraces, each level a lush tapestry of trees, flowers, and water channels. Diodorus Siculus, in the 1st century AD, claimed the gardens soared up to 400 feet, a figure that may stretch credulity but fuels the imagination. A lesser-known fact, Babylon's irrigation systems were marvels, even by modern standards. Water drawn from the Euphrates fed these terraces, creating a paradise where none should exist. The city itself was a spectacle. Nebuchadnezzar's palace, adjacent to the supposed site of the gardens, stood in the shadow of Etemenanke, a ziggurat some believe inspired the biblical Tower of Babel. Walking Babylon's streets, you'd hear the clamor of merchants haggling, the chants of priests and temples, and the soft rush of the Euphrates. The gardens, if they stood, were not just a structure, but a symbol of Babylon's zenith. Amytis's story adds a romantic thread to the tale. A princess from Media, she struggled with Babylon's arid plains, so different from her homeland's rolling green hills. Nebuchadnezzar, the legends say, built the gardens to ease her homesickness, a desert transformed into an oasis for love. Yet the absence of archaeological evidence raises questions. In the 19th century, Robert Coldway excavated Babylon, uncovering the Ishtar Gate and palace foundations, but no clear trace of the gardens. Clay tablets mention sophisticated water systems, possibly linked to the gardens, but no smoking gun. Babylon's splendor was more than stone and water. It was a state of mind. The city's walls, said to be wide enough for chariots to pass, and its temples, dedicated to gods like Marduk, spoke of a civilization at its peak. The gardens, real or not, embodied this ambition, a defiance of nature itself. Imagine standing on a terrace, the Euphrates glinting below, the scent of jasmine in the air, and the hum of a city that believed it could touch the stars. The gardens were Babylon's dream, a vision of green in a sea of sand, and their story begins with a king who dared to make the impossible real.
The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are as much a creature of myth as they are of history, woven into the fabric of ancient tales that have captivated imaginations for millennia. Some accounts attribute their creation not to Nebuchadnezzar II, but to the legendary Queen Semiramis, who ruled in the 9th century BC. Picture her a warrior queen from Assyria, transforming the arid plains into a verdant paradise, with terraces overflowing with exotic plants, cascading waterfalls that cooled the air, and pathways lined with blooming flowers that defied the desert's harsh embrace. Bedouins in the region still whisper of the gardens as cursed places, where the wind through long-gone branches carries stories of restless spirits, tales of lovers lost or kings fallen, their echoes lingering in the night. A lesser-known story from the 19th century recounts archaeologist Robert Coldway, who excavated Babylon and uncovered strange stone structures that hinted at elevated platforms, yet no definitive proof of the gardens emerged. Were they a myth or a lost reality buried under centuries of sand? Imagine Semiramis's ghost wandering the terrace's shadows by the Euphrates, as if the gardens remain hidden from sight, their green leaves rustling in an unseen breeze. Herodotus, in the 5th century BC, provided one of the earliest descriptions, painting the gardens as a series of vaulted terraces supported by stone columns, each level a lush garden fed by water lifted from the Euphrates through a system of screws or chains. He spoke of trees heavy with fruit, vines draping over edges, and the sweet scent of flowers mingling with the river's mist, a vision that made the desert bloom. Diodorus Siculus, writing in the 1st century AD, added details of the garden's height, claiming they rose up to 400 feet, supported by massive arches that created a multi-level paradise. These accounts, passed down through generations, fueled the legend, but they also raise questions. Why do Babylonian clay tablets, rich with records of palaces and temples, make no mention of such a wonder? A lesser-known fact: the tablets do describe advanced irrigation systems for fields and palaces, suggesting that the gardens might have been an extension of Babylon's agricultural ingenuity, exaggerated into myth by Greek historians who never saw them. The legend of Semiramis adds a layer of intrigue. Said to have ruled Assyria in the 9th century BC, she was a figure of power and mystery, often portrayed as a builder of grand works. Some scholars suggest the gardens were originally hers, relocated in legend to Babylon for dramatic effect. Bedouins in modern Iraq tell tales of cursed gardens where the spirits of ancient gardeners wander, their whispers warning against disturbing the soil. A lesser-known tale from the 19th century involves Coldway's excavations, where he found vaulted structures near the palace that could have supported terraces, but erosion and time had erased any clear evidence. Were the gardens a myth or a lost reality buried under centuries of sand? Imagine Semiramis's ghost wandering the terrace's shadows by the Euphrates, as if the gardens remain hidden from sight, their green leaves rustling in an unseen breeze. The story spreads, variations emerge. Strabo, another ancient writer from the 1st century BC, described the gardens as a series of arched supports holding up fertile soil, with trees and plants growing as if on solid ground. He noted the water's constant flow, preventing the soil from drying out, a testament to Babylonian engineering. Yet the absence of contemporary Babylonian records fuels skepticism. A lesser-known fact: excavations in the 20th century revealed sophisticated water-lifting devices in Babylon, like the shaduf or Archimedes screw precursors, which could have powered the gardens. These tools, simple yet effective, lifted water from the Euphrates to higher levels, creating the illusion of hanging greenery. The legend, whether rooted in fact or fancy, captures the human desire to conquer nature, to bring life where death reigns. Imagine standing at the edge of a terrace, the cool mist of a waterfall on your face, the scent of jasmine filling the air, as the desert stretches endlessly below. A moment of triumph over aridity. The cursed aspect of the legend adds a chilling dimension. Local folklore speaks of the gardens as haunted by the spirits of laborers who toiled under Nebuchadnezzar's command, their bones mixed into the mortar that held the terraces together. Bedouins warn that disturbing the site invites misfortune, with tales of explorers who vanished or fell ill after digging too deep. Was it the curse or the harsh desert environment? The legend persists, a reminder that some wonders are best left to the imagination, their green beauty a fleeting dream in the sands of time. The Hanging Gardens legend has inspired countless artists and writers, from ancient poets to modern filmmakers. In literature, they symbolize unattainable beauty, a paradise lost to time. A lesser-known fact: the gardens influenced Renaissance gardens in Europe, where terrace designs mimic the Babylonian ideal, blending water features with lush plantings. Today, as we search for sustainable oases and arid lands, the legend reminds us of humanity's age-old quest to green the desert. Whether real or mythic, the gardens live on in our collective imagination, a green whisper in the wind of history.
If the Hanging Gardens existed, their true miracle lay not in their beauty, but in the ingenuity that sustained them. In the heart of Mesopotamia's sun-scorched desert, where the Euphrates was the lifeblood of the land, Babylonian engineers defied nature to create a green paradise. The secret: an extraordinary irrigation system, a marvel of ancient technology that lifted water from the river to the highest terraces. Picture the scene. Water sparkling as it flows through stone channels, cascading down terraces, nourishing trees and flowers in a land where rain was a rare guest. This was no mere garden. It was a triumph of human will over the desert's harsh embrace. The key to this miracle was the chain pump, a system of buckets or scoops attached to a rotating chain powered by human or animal labor. In the 6th century BC, these pumps drew water from the Euphrates, lifting it dozens of feet to feed the garden's terraces. Diodorus Siculus described the system as a marvel, with water carried to the topmost levels through hidden channels within stone columns. Imagine the rhythmic creak of the pumps, the splash of water as it rises, the scent of damp earth mingling with desert air. A lesser-known fact: archaeologists have found evidence of advanced water channels in Babylon, including arched aqueducts and reservoirs, but none definitively linked to the gardens. Were these channels part of Nebuchadnezzar's grand vision or part of the city's broader irrigation network? The scale of the task was staggering. To keep terraces lush in a desert, the Babylonians needed not just water, but precision. Each terrace, possibly built of stone and bitumen to prevent leaks, required a constant flow to sustain trees like date palms and cedars. The system was an ancestor to modern hydraulics, a testament to Babylonian engineering. Picture workers toiling under the sun, chains clanking as water rises, feeding a forest that seemed to float above the city. This was more than a garden. It was a symbol of a civilization that bent nature to its will, creating life where none should thrive. The Hanging Gardens' true marvel wasn't just their lush greenery, but the ingenuity that brought them to life in a desert's heart. Babylonian engineers in the 6th century BC mastered the art of moving water from the Euphrates to towering terraces, creating an oasis where none should exist. Picture the scene. Water glistening as it cascades down stone channels, nourishing palms and flowers under a relentless sun. The chain pumps, described by Diodorus Siculus in the 1st century AD, were the heart of this system. Buckets on rotating chains, tirelessly lifting water to the highest levels. Imagine the rhythmic creak of wood and metal, the splash of water rising, the air heavy with the scent of wet earth. These pumps, powered by human or animal labor, were a feat of engineering, an ancestor to modern hydraulics. A lesser-known fact: excavations in Babylon have uncovered traces of sophisticated water systems, canals, reservoirs, and even arched aqueducts, but none definitively tied to the gardens. Were these channels part of Nebuchadnezzar's grand vision, or simply the city's lifeline for agriculture? The terraces themselves, if real, were likely built with stone and sealed with bitumen to prevent leaks, a testament to Babylonian precision. Each level required a constant flow to sustain trees like cedars or date palms, plants that demanded water in a land where rain was a rare guest. Picture workers toiling under the sun, chains clanking as water rises, feeding a forest that seemed to float above the city. This was more than a garden. It was a symbol of a civilization that bent nature to its will, creating life where none should thrive. The logistics were staggering. To keep terraces lush, engineers needed more than pumps. They needed a network of channels hidden within the structure. Some ancient sources suggest the terraces were supported by stone columns with water pipes concealed inside, a design that would have been revolutionary for its time. Imagine standing on a terrace, the Euphrates glinting below, the sound of water trickling through hidden channels, the greenery swaying in the breeze. This system didn't just sustain plants, it sustained a legend, a story of human ambition that echoed through the ages. Yet the absence of clear archaeological evidence leaves us wondering, were these pumps part of the gardens or part of Babylon's broader irrigation network? The mystery deepens, but the image of water flowing through a desert paradise remains, a testament to a civilization that dreamed beyond its limits. What happened to the Hanging Gardens of Babylon? If they existed, how could such a marvel vanish, leaving only whispers in the sands? As we walk through the ruins of this ancient dream, picture the terraces crumbling, their greenery fading under the weight of time and conquest. Babylon's fall in 539 BC to the Persians under Cyrus the Great marked the beginning of its decline. Did the gardens survive this conquest, only to be erased by later wars, earthquakes, or the slow decay of neglect? Or were they always a myth, a story spun by travelers to glorify a city already larger than life? Let's explore the enigma of their disappearance, where history fades into shadow. By the 2nd century AD, ancient writers like Strabo and Philo of Byzantium stopped mentioning the gardens, as if they had melted into the desert. A lesser-known fact: Babylonian clay tablets meticulously detailing Nebuchadnezzar's temples, palaces, and even irrigation systems are silent about the gardens. This absence is puzzling. If the gardens were as grand as Herodotus claimed, why no record in the city's own archives? Picture the Euphrates flowing past crumbling terraces, their stones scavenged by later builders, their greenery swallowed by sand. The Persian conquest in 539 BC brought new rulers, who may have neglected the garden's upkeep. Earthquakes, common in the region, could have toppled the terraces, their water systems clogging with silt over centuries. Another theory, both intriguing and controversial, suggests the gardens weren't in Babylon at all. In 2013, Oxford scholar Stephanie Dalley proposed they were located in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, based on cuneiform tablets describing lush gardens built by King Sennacherib in the 7th century BC. Nineveh, like Babylon, sat on a river, the Tigris, and boasted advanced aqueducts and canals. Could ancient writers have confused the two cities, attributing Nineveh's gardens to Babylon's fame? Imagine standing in Nineveh, water flowing through stone channels, trees blooming under Assyrian stars, a paradise mistaken for Babylon's. Dalley's theory challenges centuries of tradition, but it explains the lack of evidence in Babylon's ruins. The Bedouins add a mystical layer to the garden's fate. They whisper that the terraces are cursed, their stones hiding spirits that guard ancient secrets. Picture a moonlit night, the wind carrying eerie murmurs through the desert, as if the garden's soul lingers. Were they destroyed by time, or do they remain hidden, buried beneath layers of sand and myth? When Alexander the Great visited Babylon in 323 BC, he saw a city still grand but fading. Did he walk through the gardens, or were they already gone? The absence of physical traces, despite excavations by Robert Koldewey in the 19th century, fuels the mystery. Koldewey found water channels near Nebuchadnezzar's palace, but no terraces. Imagine the garden's last days: water drying up, trees withering, stones crumbling under a merciless sun. The garden's vanishing is as much a part of their legend as their creation, a puzzle that invites us to dream of what was or what might never have been.
The Hanging Gardens of Babylon have vanished from the earth, but their legend endures, calling to explorers, archaeologists, and dreamers across centuries. If they existed, where are they now? Why have their traces eluded us? In this chapter, we join the modern quest to uncover the truth, walking the sands of Mesopotamia where the Euphrates whispers secrets of a lost paradise. Picture yourself standing among Babylon's ruins, the air thick with dust, the ghosts of terraces lingering just out of sight. The search for the gardens is a journey through time, blending science, myth, and the unyielding human desire to solve the unsolvable. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, German archaeologist Robert Koldewey led excavations in Babylon, determined to find the gardens. From 1899 to 1917, he uncovered the Ishtar Gate's blue tiles, palace foundations, and intricate water channels near Nebuchadnezzar's southern palace.
Could these be remnants of the garden's fabled terraces? A lesser-known fact, Koldewey initially believed he'd found the gardens in a vaulted structure with wells, possibly part of a water lifting system. But doubts crept in. Those vaults might have been storage rooms, not terrace supports. Picture the archaeologist brushing away centuries of sand, hoping to reveal a stone that would confirm Herodotus's tales. Yet no definitive proof emerged. The Euphrates flowed silently beside his dig, offering no answers, only more questions. In 2013, Oxford scholar Stephanie Dalley offered a bold new theory. The gardens weren't in Babylon, but in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, built by King Sennacherib in the 7th century BC. Her evidence? Assyrian cuneiform tablets describing a palace without rival with lush gardens fed by aqueducts from the Tigris River. Dalley argued that ancient writers like Herodotus and Diodorus Siculus may have confused Nineveh with Babylon, blending their stories into a single legend. Imagine Nineveh's terraces, water cascading through stone channels under Assyrian stars mistaken for Babylon's glory. Satellite imagery has added fuel to the search, revealing ancient canals and water systems in both cities, but none conclusively tied to the gardens. Picture the grainy images, lines of forgotten channels etched in the earth hinting at a lost oasis. The Bedouins, keepers of the desert's oral traditions, add a mystical layer. They whisper that the gardens are cursed, their stones guarded by spirits who hide them from prying eyes. Picture a moonlit night, the Euphrates glinting, the wind carrying faint murmurs of a forgotten age. Are the gardens buried beneath Babylon's sands, or do they exist only in the stories we tell? Modern technology, ground-penetrating radar, satellite scans, has yet to solve the mystery. Excavations in Iraq, hampered by conflict and time, continue to tease with fragments. A canal here, a stone there. Imagine standing in Babylon's ruins, the weight of millennia pressing down, wondering if the gardens are just beneath your feet, waiting to be found. The quest goes on, a blend of science and wonder, as we chase a dream that may never have been real, or one that's simply hiding, waiting for the right moment to bloom again.
Real or myth, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon endure as a symbol of human ambition, love, and the drive to create beauty against all odds. Whether they rose above the Euphrates or lived only in the minds of ancient poets, their story has shaped art, literature, and imagination for over 2 millennia. In this final chapter, let's reflect on what the gardens mean: a king's devotion, a civilization's dream, or humanity's endless quest to defy the impossible. Picture the Euphrates at dusk, its waters catching the last light, the echo of terraces whispering through time. Nebuchadnezzar II's love for Amytis, if the legends are true, gave us a story of devotion that transcends history. The gardens, built to soothe the queen's longing for her homeland, speak to the power of love to reshape the world. Imagine a king gazing at his creation, terraces blooming with green, water sparkling, all for the woman he cherished. Yet the garden's legacy goes beyond romance. They represent Babylon's zenith, a city that dared to rival the gods. The ziggurat Etemenanki, the Ishtar Gate, the bustling markets, all were part of a civilization that pushed boundaries. A lesser-known fact, Babylon's irrigation techniques, possibly used in the gardens, inspired modern agricultural systems, from drip irrigation to desert farming. Picture farmers today, unknowingly echoing the ingenuity of engineers who tamed the Euphrates millennia ago. The garden's myth has fueled creativity across ages. From Renaissance paintings to modern novels, artists have imagined terraces rising into the sky, their greenery a beacon of wonder. Semiramis, whether she built them or not, lives on as a symbol of power and mystery, her name synonymous with the garden's allure. Picture a poet in ancient Greece, penning tales of a queen who crafted paradise, or a modern filmmaker recreating Babylon's splendor. The gardens, real or not, have become a canvas for our dreams, a reminder that some stories are too beautiful to fade. What do the gardens mean to you? Are they a testament to a king's love, a civilization's genius, or a myth that captures our longing for the impossible? Imagine standing by the Euphrates, the air warm, the stars above mirroring the lights of a city long gone. The garden's legacy is their mystery. They challenge us to question, to wonder, to search. Share your theories in the comments. I read every one, and your curiosity fuels this journey. If this trip through Babylon's green dream stirred your heart, subscribe to @AncientAnticsX for more lost cities, ancient legends, and mysterious tales. Like, share with a friend, and keep exploring. The past is alive, waiting for us to uncover its secrets. See you next time. Stay curious.